All right, guys, welcome back to the Mainly Hoop podcast where we have some more Big 12 transfer portal news. We're covering Arizona to start out. They didn't have a ton go on this offseason, but they did get a hometown kid back in Tucson. So we're going to start with Cody and see what he has to say about these offseason moves.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously went more freshman heavy. They grabbed two 5 stars, Koa Pete and Braden Burries, who they're probably going to start on the wings for Arizona next season. And then off the bench, Dwayne Aristode and obviously Bryce James, LeBron's son, coming in as a 3-star. But for the one transfer that they got, Evan Nelson, you nailed it. He's a hometown kid from Tucson. I'm not really sure if he's going to get rotation minutes or not, but he's more of a spot up shooter, secondary ball handler, a bit turnover prone, and he didn't really have that high of a usage. He had a 26% turnover rate for having like a 20% usage rate overall. It's not the greatest. I don't think he's going to be making any like high level decisions for this Arizona team or making any like extremely important decisions for 15 to 20 minutes at a time. So not too worried about that. He's more of an energy guy, defensive guy. He's a great defensive playmaker at a 3% steal rate at Harvard last season. Is kind of always looking to make a play on the ball, really good with his hands. But like I said, he's a backup secondary guard at best if he ends up getting any minutes at all. But obviously, he's not really the most important guy out of the guys that ended up getting. I haven't done a ton of work on the freshmen, so I don't have a ton. I mean, I've watched a little bit of Koa Pete. He's, kind of everything you want in a wing. Good 2-way wing, good mid range shot creator. Besides that, I mean, this is a pretty easy system to play for as a freshman. It's a wide open system. They play super fast, kind of an NBA style. So I think it's something that these kids are going to want to play, and they're going to be. I think they can kind of thrive if there's a program that 5-star freshmen are going to show up to. I think Arizona's probably one of the top 5 that they would want to play for.
Yeah. Like you said, they went really just high school heavy here. I mean, they have a few guys coming back, of course. Jaden Bradley, Owaka, Del Orso, they'll get Krivas back. They had some guys leave in the portal as well. They just didn't really go the portal route too heavy here. Like Evan Nelson, as you alluded to, can shoot it. I mean, he's played 3 seasons where, all 3 years he's been 38.8% or better from behind the arc. Right around, he was 6 points his freshman year, 8 points second year, then 9 last year. So, I mean, pretty consistent across the board. Maybe he can come in and give them some spot minutes and knock down some open shots. The losing Caleb Love, of course, and then losing KJ Lewis in the portal, like that hurts their guard room a little bit. So maybe they're going to need him to play a little bit, off the ball. They're going to be asking Jaden Bradley, I would think, to do quite a lot next year. But so maybe he comes in off the bench, and somewhere in that like 8 to 12 minute range and can provide a spark, at least from behind the arc. But I think it's all going to be very dependent on really the direction that they go. Maybe they play a little bit bigger, and play like a Pete or something at like the 2. I don't know. They're gonna have to figure it out with all these freshmen. But it's going to be heavily dependent on how quickly those guys can come along. But having 2 5-stars and a high end 4-star as your freshman recruits certainly goes a long way just from the start.
Do we think he's going to fit well in the system? Do we think the 5-star recruits can create enough offense for him to spot up and get shots up, Evan Nelson?
I mean, I think to Cody's point that he made just a minute ago, right? It's like this system that Coach Lloyd has created is just very open, fast paced, going to get up the court quickly, not afraid to take, as we've seen with Caleb Love at the helm there for the last few years, like not afraid to take bad shots. So, I think that from that standpoint, there really isn't going to be a problem. I think that guards and guys are going to get downhill. They're going to get out in transition, and ultimately, like, it's going to give him open looks, I would think, in the minutes that he does play. Like Cody said, though, be interesting to see how he really does, how much he really does play.
Right. Cody, do you agree?
I'm not really sure if he gets really any minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he was never really in the rotation, but he'll probably potentially get like the Conrad Martinez minutes that he lost. I mean, he played 5 minutes a game last year, and maybe get some spot minutes with guys in foul trouble. Maybe if a guy goes down, he can fill in off the bench, be that 7th or 8th man. But besides that, I don't really see him playing a huge role. I guess he fits in the system as a solid perimeter defender that they had last year. Obviously, they have to replace a guy like KJ Lewis. He's not necessarily the greatest KJ Lewis replacement. They're definitely different archetypes, but him next to Jaden Bradley in the backcourt, if they're ever playing minutes together, I think that would be a pretty damn good defensive backcourt.
Yeah. Would you say his ceiling's kind of like a 3-and-D guy, 15 minutes a game, can get you a few threes?
Yeah. 15, if that. I think a couple guys would have to go down for him to get 15 minutes. I think this is going to be, the freshmen are going to be inserted into the lineup immediately. I would be surprised if Burries or Pete didn't start. I think they're going to start at the 2 and the 3. Maybe if Dwayne Aristode has a good offseason or a good preseason, I think maybe he slides into the rotation right away as well. He'll get minutes, but I don't. Maybe he'll slide in there as a starter. Maybe they'll play Pete at the 4. 6'8" frame. He's a little bit thinner, but I do think there's potential for all 3 of those guys to play together, just because they're all pretty athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see? I mean, like, just kind of running through my head, is it like Jaden Bradley, Burries, Pete, Awaka, and then
Krivas?
Yeah,
that's how I see it right now. Maybe they start Del Orso instead if like Burries or Pete aren't necessarily ready for like big time minutes right away, but it would surprise me if they're not. And Del Orso started a lot last year, so he'll definitely be the 6th man. He'll play at least 25 minutes a game. He'll have to play some minutes when Bradley goes to the bench or those 5-star freshmen.
Do we think this team is better or worse than last year's team?
Take it away, Marcus.
I think early they're going to be worse. I think this team actually has the potential to be better, though. I think that with the top level high school recruits they have, plus Bradley and Awaka coming back, Krivas if he can stay healthy, Del Orso is like going to be a solid piece off the bench or starting, however they end up having that. But I think Coach Lloyd's done a great job. We saw it last year with Carter Bryant. He came along well as the season progressed, and now he's going to be in the NBA draft. I think just his ability to get guys to come along as the season progresses, I think his system allows for young guys to gain a lot of confidence as the season wears on. So I actually think, like, with the ceiling of some of these high school players plus the guys they have coming back, I could actually see this team being better than they were last year. And of course, last year it was a hot topic where they started slow and ended up having a pretty significant run to open Big 12 play, which set them up for what they were 4 seed in the tournament. But I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up being better.
Cody,
yeah, this perimeter group, I think they needed a roster flush. I mean, it was time for Love and KJ Lewis, and even like a guy like Trey Townsend, who was more of a forward. It was kind of time for those guys to go. They didn't really raise the ceiling for me. I know people thought Caleb Love was a ceiling raiser, but it was just too volatile for me. So I automatically think their ceiling is a little bit higher with the group that they have now. But I mean, obviously the floor is going to be a little bit lower because we don't know what we're going to get with the freshmen right away. I would have liked for Lloyd to go out there and grab like a serviceable, 5th-year senior, at least to play some spot minutes for the backcourt, at least to come in and play 15 to 20 minutes, because I don't think Evan Nelson is that guy. So I think their floor has to be a little bit lower at this point. But for these freshmen to come in right away and play in a system that they're probably comfortable playing, probably a style that they've played throughout their high school career and throughout their AAU career, which is very fast-paced, as we all know about AAU basketball. So I do think their ceiling is going to be higher because they're going to be comfortable.
All right. Any final thoughts, you guys? Or
I mean, I think like any Arizona team every year, I think they're always pretty exciting to watch, especially when it's like, it was always Pac-12 at night. Now we've got, I guess, like Big 12 at night. You know, they have those 7, 9, and 11 o'clock slots now on like Monday nights. So you'll catch me watching some Arizona games at 11 o'clock. I think this team, like Cody said, has a fairly high ceiling, and should be fun to watch develop as the season wears on.
Cody, what about you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what he said. I think they're going to be super fun to watch. I think these freshmen create a high ceiling, and I would have liked for them to have a little bit more shooting throughout this roster as well. It's kind of remained to be seen with what the freshmen are going to provide, but regardless, it is going to be a fun style. There's a ton of athletes on this team.
Definitely a fun team to watch. A high ceiling for the Wildcats this upcoming year. Thank you guys for listening to Mainly Hoops Podcast. We'll be back with some more Big 12 Transfer Portal.